Welcome to Untold Pioneers, a channel that explores lesser-known stories and untold tales of historical figures, events, and cultural phenomena. Join us as we delve deep into the past to uncover the hidden gems of history. Welcome to the dark side of Victorian science, a documentary that uncovers the disturbing history of scientific practices in the 19th century. The Victorian era is often associated with progress, innovation, and scientific advancement. But what if I told you that behind the glossy veneer of this era lies a dark side of science? A side that was plagued with unethical experiments, inhumane treatment, and the exploitation of vulnerable communities. People sometimes refer to the 19th century as the secularization age, when modern sciences, fields, and institutions came into being, and cultural authority switched from the traditional role of religion to that of explanation provided by the scientific presentation of natural laws. Sociologist Max Weber referred to this process as the world's disenchantment. During the Victorian era, science was seen as the key to unlocking the universe's secrets, and scientists were eager to make groundbreaking discoveries. But this eagerness often came at a cost, and the experiments conducted during this time were often unethical and inhumane. One of the most infamous examples of this dark side of Victorian science is the story of Sarah Baartman, a South African woman who was taken to Europe and exhibited as a freak due to her body shape. Baartman was subjected to invasive medical examinations and was even dissected after her death, all in the name of scientific research. Her story is one of many that exposes the troubling history of scientific exploitation during this time. The Victorian era was a time of great scientific innovation, but as we've seen, this progress often came at a cost. The exploitation of vulnerable communities and the inhumane treatment of human subjects was all too common, and it's important that we remember and acknowledge these dark moments in history. One aspect of this dark side of Victorian science that we didn't explore in depth in the documentary was the role of colonialism in scientific practices. Many experiments conducted during this time were done in colonized countries, where the local populations were seen as inferior and expendable. These experiments were often justified as a means of civilizing or improving these populations, but in reality, they were simply a means of control and exploitation. It is important to remember that they were operating in different time with different moral and ethical standards. Nonetheless, it is vital that we continue to examine this history and ensure that we learn from it. We must hold scientists accountable for their actions and work to prevent the same mistakes from being made again. One way to do this is by supporting and advocating for ethical scientific practices. As consumers, we can purchase products from companies that prioritize ethical and sustainable scientific practices. We can call on our governments and scientific institutions to enact regulations and guidelines prioritizing ethical considerations. The dark side of Victorian science is a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked scientific progress. While it is important to acknowledge the contributions of Victorian scientists, we must also confront the disturbing history of experimentation and exploitation. By doing so, we can work towards a future where science is pursued ethically and responsibly for the benefit of all humanity. In truth, it is far simpler to understand how deeply entwined the centuries' religious and scientific strands were. Every scientific and technological breakthrough encouraged a form of magical thinking and was accompanied by a shadow discourse of the occult. There was an ongoing re-enchantment of the world for every disillusion. The natural and the supernatural frequently became muddled in public thinking, at least temporarily, due to rapid scientific advancements. And this blending of science and magic impacted every aspect of Victorian literary culture. What were the negative aspects of the Victorian period? What were Victorian attitudes toward science? Why was the Victorian era so dark? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to Untold Pioneers for more videos like this one. Thank you for watching.